Okay, now we're gonna keep doing our pattern. So we're gonna do 2 single crochets. So one here, and then increase. So let's do a single crochet in the next stitch. And then another single crochet in the following stitch. So insert your hook into a new stitch, yarn over, pull through 1, yarn over, pull through 2. All right, now we're on to the increase. So make sure that you put 2 single crochets in this next stitch. There's my first one. Here is my second one. All right, now I'm going to do 2 single crochets in a row. We are going to increase. Just like that. All right, I'm going to go ahead and keep doing that pattern until we get to the stitch marker. So remember that we're doing a single crochet in the very next stitch. Then we're going to go to the very next stitch again, do another single crochet, and then in that third stitch, we're going to be doing an increase right in there. So 2 single crochets together, okay? Okay, so I just took out my stitch marker, which means that this last stitch of my row is going to get an increase. So we're going to do two more single crochets in this last stitch. Just like that. Make sure that you put your stitch marker back in after you do that last stitch of the row. All right, perfect. Okay, so now what we're going to do is very similar, but we're just going to keep increasing in every single row. So with this one, you probably notice a little a pattern. We've got 1 single crochet, increase, then the next row it's 2 single crochets and then increase. Now for this one, we're going to do 3 single crochets and then increase. So in the 4th stitch of this row, we will be doing an increase. After this row, I'm going to show you how to tell if you have done an increase in a stitch or did you forget and just kept going. But I'll show you the difference in the way that it looks after this row. So what we're going to do, single crochet in this stitch, single crochet in this one, single crochet in this one. This stitch here will get an increase. So we're going to insert, here's single crochet number 1, single crochet number 2. Remember that we're doing all of these in their own separate stitches. Single crochet number 3. And in that 4th stitch, that is where we're going to increase. So now I'm going to place 2 single crochets right here. Just like that. And then we're going to repeat that again. So now I'm going to do 3 single crochets in each stitch. So, or I guess in a row. So we're going to do 1 single crochet, another single crochet, and another. So 3 single crochets separate. And then we're going to increase. One, here's 2, here is 3, And now we're going to increase in this next stitch, right in there. Just like that. And then we're going to repeat that over and over again. So we're going to do 3 single crochets, increase, 3 single crochets, increase until you get back to that stitch marker. And then I'll show you how to check your work and make sure that we've gotten the increases where they're supposed to go. All right, I am back at my stitch marker. I'm going to remove that and do my last increase for the round. And then I'll show you how to check and make sure that we are not skipping our increases, or at least to tell whether or not you did them. Because sometimes you can look and be like, I think I did, but I'm not 100% sure. So let's try to figure that out together. So we're going to replace our stitch marker. Just going to pull up a big loop here so I don't accidentally undo my work. So when you are looking at your project here, you want to really make sure that we are doing the correct stitches. So if you are missing some of the increases, your coaster might show up or start being a little bit wonky. It might be a little bit lopsided. So we don't want that. Or if you constantly keep getting to your stitch marker and you're like, I'm not on an increase stitch, something is happening, let's check our work. So when we look here, this is like a nice line here. So we've got single crochet, single crochet, single crochet. Now the increase has 2 single crochets inside of it. I'm not sure if you'll be able to really see that as much as I want you to, but we have a line of yarn here and here, which is the first single crochet. And then the other one is right here, kind of off to the side. So that's how we tell. And so what I recommend a lot of the times is to kind of like pull your work apart. Don't be scared of it. It's not going to come apart once you're looking, but you kind of pull things apart a little bit, and then you'll be able to see a little bit more whether or not you have 2 or not. So this is my increase row here. You can see there's a line of yarn here, a line of yarn here. There should be 4 strands of yarn inside a stitch that has an increase, versus when you look at the stitch right next to it where there's only a single crochet, there's only 2 strands of yarn. So you just kind of pull things apart and really just take your time to look at it and see how it looks. But this is the 1 single crochet inside, and this one right next to it has 2. And I'll show you that again a little bit further down the road as we keep going. Okay. So let's go ahead and continue our pattern. The next row, we're going to be doing 4 single crochets, and then we're going to increase. So let's make sure that we're counting and doing our increases where we're supposed to. But the very next row, or the very next stitch, is going to have a single crochet, and so will the next 3. So we're going to do 4 single crochets, increase in that 5th stitch. So here's number 1. Here's number 2. Number 3. Number 4. And we're going to increase in that 5th stitch. So make sure you're doing 2 single crochets in that next one. Got our increase, and we're going to repeat that over and over again. So now we're going to do 4 single crochets in a row, and then increase. So here's number 1, 2, 3, 4. And then we're going to increase in the next stitch. Okay, now we're going to do that again. So 4 single crochets in a row and then increase in that 5th stitch. Insert your hook, yarn over, pull through 1, yarn over, pull through 2. So there's number 1, here's number 2, 3, and 4. And now we're going to increase. All right, I'm going to go ahead and keep repeating that all the way until I get to that stitch marker. So just remember, we're doing 4 single crochets in a row by themselves and then increase in the 5th stitch. Okay, I am back at my stitch marker. We're going to go ahead and take it out and do our final increase of this round. Great. It's going well so far. And honestly, we're getting kind of close to being done, so that's super cool. Okay, now we're going to go ahead to the next row, and in this row, we are going to be placing 5 single crochets and then increase. So we'll do single crochets in each of the next 5 stitches. So if you look closely here, we're going to go single crochet 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and then increase in that 6th stitch. Got 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. And then we're going to be placing an increase in the very next stitch. Okay, and we're going to repeat that over all the way around until we get to that stitch marker. So let's do our next ones together. Here's number 1. 2, 3, 4, 5, and then increase. So if you do start doing like amigurumi, the little stuffed animals, this is how most of them start, with almost the exact same sequence of increases too. So if you start getting familiar with this, it kind of sets you up for success to do amigurumi projects in the future, because it's basically the same. I would say like 90% of stuffed animals I have personally made start with this exact same sequence. So that's kind of exciting if that's kind of your goal in the future to do that. This is how it starts. So if you can do this, you can totally make an amigurumi stuffed animal. Okay, so now what I'm going to do is just repeat this all the way until I get to my stitch marker. So remember that we're doing 5 single crochets and then an increase. 5 single crochets and then an increase. And I'll meet you back at the stitch marker. Okay, we made it back to the stitch marker. We're going to go ahead and remove that and do our final increase of this round. Perfect. Make sure that you put the slip or the stitch marker right back into that final stitch. Great. Now for the next step, what we're going to do is we are actually just going to single crochet in every single stitch all the way around. So make sure that you are not doing any increases for this portion. It's just single crochets. So in every single stitch, we're doing one single crochet. You don't want to accidentally add more stitches at this point. So go ahead and just do single crochets all the way around in every stitch that we have. And I will meet you right back at the end of the slip or at the stitch marker. Okay, we are back at the stitch marker again, so go ahead and take that out. And we're just doing one single crochet at the very end of this row. So make sure we are not doing an increase, just one single crochet where that stitch marker was. Perfect. Go ahead and reinsert your stitch marker. Great. All right, we have one more row left, and this one's a little bit different. We have not done this yet. We are going to be doing a single crochet in the front loop only. So you may have heard me say something about the front loop or back loop at the very beginning of teaching how to make the coaster. So now you get to see what that actually means if you've never heard that before, if you've never done it before. So when you look at your crochet project here, you can see all of the stitches that we have done previously, and you can notice that there's a loop right here, and there's a loop towards the back. This one right here, closest to me, closest to you, is the front loop, and this is the back loop. So you will come across some patterns that say front loop only or back loop only. Today we get to go through the front loop only. So what that does when we crochet into the front loop only, it kind of like makes the stitch like kind of stick up a little bit. So you're going to notice it gets kind of like a little bit bumped up. And I'll show you what it looks like. So it gives it a little bit of a bump. Now, when you're doing it, you want to make sure that when you're inserting your hook, you only go into the front loop only. So we're going to put our hook right here through this one loop, right in the front, okay? Yarn over, pull through that first loop on our hook, yarn over, pull through two. So we're gonna do the single crochets exactly the same as we have been, except for where we're inserting our hook. That's the only thing that is changing, so be mindful of that. So we're going to insert our hook to the next stitch in the front loop only. So push it right through there like that. And you want to make sure that this is how it looks. So typically when we were doing the single crochets in every other one, this is how it looked when we inserted it. You can tell that we have basically two strands of yarn. It's thicker looking. We don't want that for this whole row. We're going to go through just the front loop only, and these loops will match in size. So yarn over, pull through the first loop, yarn over, pull through the second loop. So we're going to repeat that over and over around this entire row. So insert your hook into that front loop only, yarn over, pull through 1, yarn over, pull through 2. Then we're going to go to the next one and make sure that you only go through that front loop only. So just right through here. Yarn over, pull through 1, yarn over, pull through 2. And I'll show you that one more time because I know it's kind of tricky, especially if you're new to this and you have not seen this before. Just go right between those 2 loops. Oop. There we go. And then you're ready to do your single crochet. Maybe I can show it to you too on the lighter yarn here. I think that might show up a little bit better. So when you're looking at it here, the way that it looks, you would insert your hook right through here, that front loop. When you take it out, you can see we've got the front, or I'm sorry, the back and the front. You want to go through the front one, just like that, okay? So make sure that you're doing the front loop only in every stitch around, and then I will meet you back when we get to the stitch marker. Maybe we'll just do a couple more together before we do our own thing. So make sure you go right through that front loop. And like I said before, a good way to check to make sure that you've only gone through the loop is if these strands of yarn are the same size right here, then you know that you're doing something right. You know you're doing it right. Okay, we'll do one more together. So insert your hook into that front loop only, just like that. Yarn over, pull through 1, yarn over, pull through 2. All right, I'm gonna go ahead and keep repeating that all the way around until I get back to my stitch marker, and then I'll take you to the next step.